Sure, and if you ever got the chance to switch on me, you probably would. They hit it no more. If your colors ain't pure, you wanna do what you want, go and do what you want. I'm a spark of this wood. I'm unbothered, I'm good.
Hey, Convo Queens. We are back, and today we are, of course, talking about the importance of emotional intelligence.
Yep, good topic.
And so, before we start, I always like to ask, how has your week been so far?
Um, my week has been okay. My son started school on Monday, so we're just adjusting back into our normal schedule. And he's excited to be back at school around his little friends. So we're gonna take it one day at a time. How's your week been?
My week has been good. I'm just getting like things moved from my house to my office because I'm supposed to be moving in next week, like on the Monday or Tuesday. So I've been running back and forth trying to get that ready and get ahead of these orders. And then I have an event coming up this Saturday. And then my
Yay
kids go
for the
back to school next week. So we made it. We made it through another summer. Thank God. I am so happy that they will be back in school.
well, congratulations on the office.
Thank you. All right, you guys. So before we get into our commentary, because I want everyone to be on the same page and to know what emotional intelligence entails and what it is and why it's so important that not just men have emotional intelligence, but women have emotional intelligence as well. Even though predominantly I feel like as women we come equipped with more emotional or EI than men do. But I'm just going to go over this lovely website that I found that breaks it down perfectly on what we're going to be talking about today. So, emotional intelligence refers to the ability to perceive, control, and evaluate emotions. Researchers suggest that emotional intelligence can be learned and strengthened, while others claims it's an inborn characteristic. All right, so signs of emotional intelligence: an ability to identify and describe what people are feeling, an awareness of personal strengths and limitations, self confidence and self acceptance, the ability to let go of your mistakes, an ability to accept and embrace change, a strong sense of curiosity, particularly about other people, feelings of empathy and a concern for others, showing sensitivity to the feelings of other people, accepting responsibility for your mistakes, the ability to manage emotions in difficult situations. I feel like those are very important to have, especially for me, especially what we're going to be digging into: managing emotions and understanding emotions and reasoning. All of this, one, two, three, and four. Perceiving emotions is the first step towards understanding. Reasoning with emotions, the next step involves using your emotions to promote thinking and cognitive activity. Understanding emotions. The emotions that we perceive can carry a wide variety of meanings. You know, someone is expressing anger, or you able to understand and process what others are feeling. And managing emotions, the ability to manage emotions effectively is a crucial part. This is the main this is the core part I want to focus on right here. Managing your emotions. It's a crucial part of emotional intelligence in the highest level. Regulating emotions and responding appropriately, as well as responding to the emotions of others, are important aspects of emotional management. Um,
That's a good
yeah.
breakdown.
Mm-hmm. Let me stop scaring this screen here. So yeah, I think that number four is a high and a key component to having emotional intelligence, because if you don't have self-awareness, there's no way that you're able to manage your emotions.
Correct.
Um, and what's been going on as of lately has revealed to us, shown us, and told us things that we already knew, anyways, is that there's this lack of emotional intelligence when it comes to the opposite sex, and they struggle in this area with managing their emotions and understanding their emotions as well as others.
Right.
So yeah, so we're just picking up off the article from last week, you guys. Whereas Guys are struggling, they're single and lonely. Following after that article is a video I'm going to play soon. So, in case you guys aren't as aware as others are that are on social media, there was a therapist that went viral last week for coming out and suggesting to men therapy as a way to solve this issue for them that they're having when it comes to struggling with emotional intelligence and not being successful in finding connections and relationships, therefore leaving them single. The outrage, that she got, the backlash that she got, the doxing that went on due to them responding to what she said, suggesting seek therapy, get help, learn how to manage your emotions. And the end result of them doxing her and trolling her online resulted in her losing her position as a therapist.
At her current firm or practice.
Right. And her patients as well, because that also affected them. And if you've ever been to therapy, you know how hard it is to find somebody that you can feel comfortable around or that you connect with, or it's like, okay, yeah, I can go to this one. And it's very few, as it is, Black women therapists.
Correct.
So now they have to kind of navigate how to find another provider until, she opens up a private practice or find another practice to work out of.
Well, it makes me wonder, is it in her contract um, that her clients can leave with her if she leaves?
Right.
Because it's not really fair for her clients to not be able to seek the help and support that they need due to a lot of individuals not knowing how to use their emotional intelligence to process what she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Am I echoing to you?
You just a little bit, but if you're talking, I'll turn my mic off.
I'm wondering if I'm still. Oh no.
No.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna play the video of what she said so that we can go over this and see what she said. Was it out of line? Is it something that we're missing, that we're not seeing?
A couple days ago, Psychology Today released this article about the rise of lonely single men.
Please, with all your spirit gusto, go click back on that video. I've been telling y'all motherfuckers that y'all are going to be single for the rest of your fucking life if you do not increase your emotional communication skills, emotional intelligence, or any of these things. The Psychology Today article that my good sis is referencing is nothing but proof that these podcast alpha male bullshit ass father issue heaven ass motherfuckers is forcing y'all to a lifetime of singleness. I keep seeing on this bullshit ass app that women have these poor attitudes and all this other bullshit when men truly just need to extend their emotional vocabulary so they can flourish and have meaningful, healthy relationships. But instead, y'all listening to these Kevin Samuel ass motherfuckers and it's leaving you 50 and alone. Fix it.
She did not say Dusty one time like they claimed. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, because I kept hearing she was bashing us and she called us Dusty. But even if still, because I use penis people, I call them things, or whatever have you. But even still, y'all that sensitive. Like you tell us, ignore the harshness and listen to the message. But nonetheless, in this video, I don't see where she was being harsh at all.
I'm just confused on how she did curse. But anybody who follows her, hi.
Hey, Visions. I'm mind blown. My mind is blown how far they went because she suggested therapy. I don't understand.
But she was replying in reference to somebody else's video who was addressing the article. So that's the reason why I'm like, if you somebody who said, "Oh, her delivery was harsh." her delivery is the same platform she's had that got her to 200K followers. So it wasn't like she was acting out of pocket or acting out of character based on her platform. Them attacking her job because she said go seek help is mind blowing to me. Like, they're okay attacking a black woman even if what she's saying is correct.
Right. And yeah, like Vision said, it's just so disheartening. It's like such a
Yeah.
betrayal and a stab in my heart when I heard that it was another fellow black woman therapist that put her information out there. So
But
you sitting there being a whole mammy and a pick me because you yourself was offended that she said you're a therapist. And she
right.
suggested therapy to a group of men who is clearly struggling with their emotional intelligence or lack thereof. And you put her information out there for them to dox her?
But then when it came out, she shut down all her socials.
Yeah, she went underground. So
She
it
went
comes
underground for
out
a
who
while.
you are, and you shut down everything. You locked it down over offering and issuing this woman an apology for what you did and the damage that you caused to her practice.
Right. And then I was having this conversation with somebody earlier. It makes me question the practice that she was even working at, because one of the comments was there were so many complaints. They went and asked the shareholders about, what do they feel like they should do when they made the decision to terminate her. So I'm like, y'all didn't even consider as a practice the well-being of the clients that would be affected by you making this decision. So again, the outrage of her delivery should have been better. Her delivery was this. Y'all had no problem with delivery when it came down to Kevin Samuels, Andrew Tate, or Fred and Fit, Frisch and Frog, or whatever their names are, when they were outright disrespecting black women. I don't understand that.
Okay, right. Now I'm just scrolling today, right, and I seen because that I was seeing that same thing that you don't have, y'all never had the same smoke for when men tell you the same thing. When men can talk to men in a certain way, and they're not offended by it. For some reason, it's like, oh man, I needed to hear that. Thanks, I do need to get myself together. I need to shape up. They can take that from other men, but they don't like women's voices because simply they don't respect our voice enough to even take it into consideration. We're beneath them. But the excuses that I heard between yesterday and today, and I'm so happy that Mr. Bats he addressed it exactly. The excuses that we was going around was, well,
What did
she's
he
a
say?
professional. Kevin Sims is different. She's a therapist. He wasn't. Like, excuse me, how is that an excuse?
But y'all were telling us we need to listen to what he said though. He's not a professional. They kept saying, I heard that, but I didn't hear it from Mr. Bates. What I'm saying is, oh well, she's a professional. She should have known better. So y'all would rather listen to a man who is a product of a single family household, who came from an environment where another man took care of him because his father abandoned him, and he bashed this demographic of women, for all of y'all to praise, all for him to die unalive or pass away up under the same women he told y'all to stay away from. But then y'all are saying this woman should have known better, even though she didn't say anything that was a lie, that was degrading, or goes against the way she carries herself on her platform with 200K followers.
Right, it just didn't make any sense. And even still, because he's not a professional, but she was. She's a professional and she has a job. And she should have known that she was going to get doxxed if she said, like, no one ever would have predicted that y'all was going to take it this far to dox the woman because she suggested, once again, that you seek therapy as if it's a bad thing.
Correct.
But even still, if he wasn't a professional, y'all, that's even more, like, that doesn't even prove y'all point or of reasoning or logic, because if he wasn't a professional, why were you listening to him? Why was y'all taking his advice over
That
going to a
part.
professional?
Why were y'all arguing us down in the comment section in defense of this man, and he was not a professional?
They can't make that make sense.
It's weird.
Hey, Tanisha.
Hi, Tanisha.
Hey, how y'all doing, loves? I don't know why I can't barely hear y'all on my phone. I'm gonna try to get some headphones. Well, I'm gonna get my headphones. But how y'all doing? I was just talking about her tonight. Um, y'all gave me an idea to do a call about divesting, and I did a call about divesting, and I was talking about her
Yeah.
because it was like you were saying, like that betrayal from that black woman and how the community kind of eats its own
Mm-hmm.
instead of listening to people who are trying to hold the community accountable,
Right.
especially black men. Black men are a protected class. That's what I got from the situation.
Right.
Right. And I would have never like I just didn't it bog this showed me if anything, like you said, that's what I got from this situation is y'all can never say y'all don't have privilege because look at what y'all did. Y'all literally got this
Hello.
woman fired.
Hello.
Hold on one second. Let me fix this sound real quick. Hold on one second.
Okay. I just from this situation I learned two things. You cannot say anything that they might take offensive, that might not stroke the ego the way that it needs to be stroked, even though what you're saying is the truth. And number two, they can plan and organize when the end goal is to destroy a black woman. Everything else, as far as
Like, yeah,
planning
like
and
we was saying
execution,
earlier, like they assimilated like Voltron, didn't they?
they was like Avengers Assemble. They were ready. It's sad. It's sad. She should have said it nicer. For what? Kevin Samuels didn't.
Yeah, and they told us that, yeah, he might be his delivery might be harsh, but y'all just don't want to hear it.
Right. They said that. They said, logic over feelings. So the article I recently saw on TikTok the last day or so, that the man who wrote the original article, that they were sending him death threats. And I'm like, for what? Like, I just, because it's just like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
And all because they're suggesting to you to perhaps go to therapy so y'all can your level of emotional intelligence.
You're going in and out, Aya.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
It still sounds kind of like a robot. I don't know. Um, while you're fixing that, I know that the Professor Odie guy, pretty much the video I do edit of him where he was defending Bree, got taken out for community guidelines. And I was just like, so now we're attacking him too?
Yeah. Okay. Am I still lagging?
Ye-
Let me go. I'm gonna
No,
play a video.
yeah, I can hear you now.
Child, I gotta get it together. I don't know why my area in like this area, the street that I'm on. I don't
Hmm.
know what be up with their down internet.
Maybe everybody trying to stream at the same time.
I can hear you now.
Oh,
Okay.
but
I
yeah, I
didn't
just
hear you.
thought it was mind-boggling. And like you said, Tanisha, like this one incident really drove home and showed me that y'all have privilege and y'all know y'all do.
Right.
Y'all literally got this woman fired all because she suggested that you go to therapy.
And then was praising about it, was rejoicing about it on
It
Twitter.
was a win.
That's what she get. Ba-da-da-da. I think it was another black woman on TikTok was like, all you've done is show them you are exactly what they say we are because you were talking to them so hateful. Now they're not gonna want to go get therapy. Boo, they didn't pick you neither, Suge.
They wasn't going to get therapy regardless. I mean, let me
Agreed.
tell we were talking the last time about how around 2017 there was like a movement for Black women to really embark on like some deep spiritual healing, and how some of them went into like African traditional religions to go through a transformative type of healing. You know, that's when everybody started talking about shadow work and dark night of the soul and all that. So it's like Black men saw all this going on and they did nothing. When Black women started doing groups, that's when they had therapy for Black girls, and another group, Black Girls Healing House, Girls Who Manifest. Like Black women been doing this transformative healing, and Black men just sitting back watching because they don't think that nothing is wrong with them. They feel like they are completely innocent. They have done no wrong. And I had men tell me just the other day that 80% of the women are dealing with only 20% of the bad men. Like, you trying to say that the toxic men are only 20% of the male population? Are you serious?
I
When
just
they could,
think that's stupid. I'm
Like,
sorry.
listen, somebody told I seen that today somewhere too. It's like I think they are living in like what delusion are you living in? Like he was like, it's more good, like it's more good guys. You know, y'all just be online. It's more good. If that was the case, then why don't we see more of that and less of the degeneracy? I'm sorry.
It is the same way on TikTok. There was a mutual who invited me to a live with a male Black mutual of hers. And I saw his video, and in the video he was like, you guys are wanting protection, but you guys won't listen to us. And so I was like, scroll, like I didn't even interact with the video because I'm just like, what you're saying is women are supposed to give you unconditional love like a parent, but then you say you would only protect us under certain circumstances. So I didn't really have the best thing to say. And I'm sitting here like, y'all just they do too much. Is always is never them. Is, oh, you don't get protection because you won't listen to us. But what are we listening to? If we're saying, hey, don't do X, Y, Z, you never listen. But then, oh, it's more good guys out here than bad guys. Then good guys, why aren't you checking the bad guys?
Yeah, questions that need answers. Like that, I don't understand. If it's
Oh,
that's the case, then why aren't y'all correcting the bad behavior?
I specifically remember the question. He was like, why do y'all keep going on to these podcasts, talking in the comment sections? You know they're not going to change, but y'all want protection when you won't listen. And I said, but why can't you as the man go in there and check another man? Like, stop saying that we shouldn't defend ourselves to disrespect, but then the good guys are not going to the bad guys and checking them because that's the bigger issue. Y'all keep telling us we too masculine, we too loud, we too this, we too that, and then you say that y'all's protection is conditional based on what? Y'all clearly won't check other men, and it sounds very similar to Aya, the person that I DM'd you about, how they
Yeah.
tiptoe that line of not wanting to be on the bad side of Black men, but still coming off as if they support Black women
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to be ousted by the Black male community. But it's like, if there's so many more good men, how did the bad men get out of control if y'all are checking each other? If y'all are holding each other accountable, which we know they're not.
I mean, how many Black men do you know that has a high social media presence that is doing anti-sexism work? It's not that many. It's like maybe a handful I can
Yeah,
think of.
don't-
Tony
I,
Gaskins. It was Derek Jackson, but we have to
Derek is a
take him
whole
off the
fraud.
list. Um, Lennon Honor, he's another one. Somebody just told me about a guy named Amir Brown. I got three men doing anti-sexism work online and talking about trying to develop a healthy identity of manhood for Black men. Oh, maybe Steven Speaks, but I don't know. He's single, and I don't trust single dating coaches.
right? Oh my God, that is true. Oh, he's single, but I mean, I like him, but yeah. Well, over on TikTok, I mean, I think I could count. mm, Maybe like three, like you said. Like I like Fatal Pros. I like a lot of his content. He's very for that. And I like Professor Odie. I'm gonna pull up
Yeah,
another video of his. I love him. Like I like Professor Odie. And I like Mr. Bats because he be giving it to him.
he do too. Yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, like it's just not that many, like you said.
So you can't be good knowing that we live in a patriarchy, uh, and you're not doing any sort of anti-sexism work. Because if you're remaining neutral, and most of these good men will say, well, there's hurt on both sides. How many women do you know out here that's beating on men? How many women you know out here that is sexually assaulting men? How many women have you heard of that have unalived men? It is not equal. So let's go ahead and kill that argument because the stats don't even prove that.
Well, they
Um,
always use that as an excuse. Well, it's women out here doing stuff too, and we're not negating that there are some women that are trash. What we're saying is the population of men who are trash as well is bigger than the population of women that are trash, and we're addressing the issue with the men.
Right. And then it's like I mean, I know Taraji P. Henson has a foundation where she's providing free therapy for black men. And it's like I've seen over the last few days, people sharing her foundation, like, hey black men, we're not gonna speak to you like the one therapist did, but can y'all please go to therapy because
What?
something wrong with y'all. Yeah, I mean, I read in several stories people sharing that Taraji B. Henson is offering free therapy to black men through her foundation.
So are they going to
What?
take it? Are they going to take it?
I'm gonna
They
share
don't
that link
think that
out.
nothing. They don't. They're. Wait a minute. Who told me this? I don't know if it was one of y'all or somebody else, but black men suffer from chronic head up the ass syndrome. They smell. It's like their head is so far up their ass they smell their own bullshit. And I remember this one guy. I think he was a Hebrew Israelite or
Oh God,
something like that.
Jesus.
But he wasn't like the traditional sexist one. He had his ways, but he wasn't like hateful. But I remember he said years ago, black women need to draw a line in the sand and say, y'all stay on that over on that side and we over here. And we carefully choose and pick and after a vetting process who can come on the other side of the line over here to join us. And that's where we're at right now because it's like they don't think there's nothing wrong. They think they're perfect. They think, oh well, I didn't hit a woman or I didn't kill a woman or I have a job. So that means I'm a good man. But they have, like you said, no emotional intelligence. They're not supportive. They're not caring or deeply caring about our needs and our issues. They're not nurturing. Um and they're not emotionally invested into our movements that protects us and safeguards us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if you're going to be quiet, knowing that there is so much hate, like they see these same podcasts about these men, but these so-called good men think that these men are telling the truth because they want to try to paint the picture that black women are just so freaking toxic. Like we're just cheating on them, beating on them, unaliving. Like it's
Well,
like
if we
how we trying
are,
to
Like we're
reverse
then
so
it.
leave us
abusive.
alone.
I don't know where that comes from. We're just so abusive. We're abusing them. We're toxic. We're evil.
Then leave us alone. Leave us alone. But then they're the same ones yelling about us dying alone. And when we say we're okay with that, they don't have another thing. They start attacking our looks. They start attacking if we're single moms or not. It's always some type of debate. Like I wish they would go get a Chucky doll and argue with him. Like, what are you doing?
And the other thing is, in order to humble you, like good old TD Jakes did, they don't
Mm.
care about your accolades, your degrees, or your accomplishments either. So,
I I was just on my call doing divestment, and at the end of the call, I played I cannot pronounce the woman's name. It starts with an E, but it's a song featuring Aretha Franklin called "Sisters Doing It for Themselves." And
Mhm.
I was telling them that, white women have their own issues and they've been exposed in how a lot of men dog women or build a life with a woman. And
Mhm.
during his midlife crisis, he'll leave them and go for a younger woman. That's really popular within the white community. And
Mhm.
now you have the black manosphere talking about how they're in their 40s and 50s and they want to date 25 and under. And
Mhm.
it's like, it's like, how can you put out that narrative that women your age are no good, but somehow you're good? Why didn't nobody want your ass? It's like they never think about it. They never, they are really good at, I ain't do nothing, like all these relationships ended. Why did your relationship end? Was it because you cheated? Was it because you um lacked ambition? Was it because you were abusive?
Lack of
Why did
vulnerability, not able to be like, it's a lot. It's really a
But
lot
it's
of
a
things.
lot of them who feel like they are good guys simply because they have not physically put their hands on women.
Yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
what bothers me the most is when we sit back and say, "Hey, let's have dialogue, let's have a conversation." They can't. They can't have regular dialogue that isn't, "What are you doing? How was your day? What you eat? Can I come through?
The
Can we
emotional
chill?"
there, it's being emotionally void, void of any emotion
Oh,
or
they got
concern.
emotions. They got anger. They got aggression. And we need to add audacity to the emotional list because they got a
Frustration.
ton of that.
Oh, too much audacity. Like it's like mind blowing audacity. Like some of the things that I see men say and some of the things I've heard of men doing to women, I'm like, wow. Like you would think that this is something that you will see in the animal kingdom of a lion hunting down his prey. Like it is mind blowing. Like I was saying on the call tonight, like how I've been in three domestically abusive relationships. I had three men put their hands on me. I had two men sexually assaulted me, and for some reason, even after I went and did therapy for a few years to, you know, tackle my rage from that,
Right.
um around 2015 I kind of said maybe there's some hope that I could find a good man, even though I've had all these examples about how men are trash. Well, I don't know if I can say that, but how men are abusive and how they're toxic to me. I still had hope. And when my sister was killed, it's like all hope was lost. I said, oh hell
Right.
no. I said, oh hell no. I think God is trying to say, Tanisha, wake up. Is something wrong here? But it didn't register in my mind. There's something terribly wrong with black men for these men to have such hatred towards women. But what have we done? Let me give you my theory. They're trying to pay us back for the color purple. I promise you.
Wait, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish this. I'm
No,
sorry.
they're trying to
Go
pay
ahead.
like for real. Because okay, think of it this way. When we first came out of therapy, not therapy. When we first came out of slavery,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Everything, the you had Benjamin Banneker. I'm trying to think of Thurgood Marshall. Oh, what is his name?
What, Frederick
How can I?
Douglass?
The talented 10th, and they, founded all these universities, HBCUs, and they're talking about black excellence and trying to create black communities where we were thriving. And then when we were battling Jim Crow, we stood together as a unit. We fought for our civil rights. And then after Martin Luther King was killed and Malcolm X was killed, and I don't know, was Marcus Garvey killed too? I think so.
I think so.
Um, but in the 60s, they had the Black Panther movement. Then that's when you started to see that black men were mad because we lost the leaders, right? And
Mhm.
taking their anger out on black men. Now, this was exposed by women in the Black Panther movement. Elaine Brown has a book called A Taste of Power, where she pretty much talks about how difficult it was to manage the Black Panthers when Huey P. Newton was in exile. So it's like, she said, like, dealing, like, being in that role and being in charge of these men in the organization and seeing how they were beating on women and how they were challenging her authority, like, that's when she saw that black men have a problem. Now, also think about what's going on in the 60s. You have the Vietnam War.
Mhm.
You have you start to see a lot more I would say cocaine and heroin being pushed into black communities. Then all through the 70s, what do you have? The whole pimping culture was kind of developed during that era. You had books from Donald Goines, Iceberg Slim. You had the blacks, how do you say it? Black exploitation
Mhm.
movies,
Films.
right? Promoting this pimp culture and I'm fly and I got all these hoes and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then then in the 80s, right? we're all getting along. Even when black women were ride or die for black men,
Yep.
even when they were beating us in the Black Panther movement, even when they were uh and get, being pimped by black men, we were holding them down. Then The Color Purple comes out in the 80s. And the men start getting so freaking angry because we exposed how they were doing. We gave them a glimpse of how they were doing us, just a glimpse. Um, and then so in the late 80s, in the early 90s, you have some stuff going on. You start to see mass incarceration taking place because crack cocaine came into the communities in
Mm-hmm.
the early to mid 80s. Then you see NWA come out talking about some, bitches and fuck the police. And then you have a little bit of a conscious movement. That's when you start seeing the black consciousness movement come back into play, and people are starting to learn more about Marcus Garvey and Pan-Africanism and all that. But the men were saying that the women turned their backs on them. They try to say it was the feminist movement, but it really wasn't the feminist movement, because from what I researched on blackdemographics.com, marriage rates did not start to decline until mass incarceration in the late 80s.
Which was after the crack epidemic, correct?
Right, which was after
Okay.
the crack epidemic. But why should we stay married to men in the prison system when we need somebody out here to help us raise these children and provide and
Right.
protect for us? You know what I'm saying? But the men started to have an issue with us because they had The Color Purple come out, and they said that we were saying that they weren't shit, you know? And then around the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, Shahrazad Ali came out with that book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. Now, I was really young when that book came out, but when I did some research, she was, doing tours on a lot of TV shows talking about how black women were treacherous and we made them look bad. When we did movies talking about, now the only movie I could think of that was out at that time that made black men look bad was The Color Purple. So it's like they're still mad about The Color Purple. So when I talk to men, when I was talking with men a few years ago, when I first started to pay attention that there was an issue that they had with women, I was like, "What's your issue?" They were like, "Y'all kept saying that we weren't shit. Y'all brought out The Color Purple." I'm like, "Y'all still mad about that shit?"
So they
I promise you, it took me years to watch The Color Purple because a part of my immature, innocent mindset just couldn't fathom that that's what was going on. It took me a while to watch anything related to slavery because I didn't want to be or feel like I needed to loathe people of another race. So I knew that took some like maturing within myself before I was able to sit down and really like watch and grasp and get an understanding. Color Purple was really hard for me to watch how the black man treated, you know, Whoopi Goldberg in that movie. It took me a while as a black woman to sit with it and understand the times were different, to understand that things were different, but it doesn't change the trauma and the abuse. Like I almost felt as if like Whoopi Goldberg and I was connected. Like I know I wasn't there, but the emotions were real for black women. And if that's what was happening back in the day, I don't understand why they can't be like, hey, our women really think that we ain't shit. What we need to do to change that? Like,
right.
why was that not the mindset?
And let me tell you something. I don't know exactly when Elaine Brown wrote her book about the Black Panther movement, but she kind of ducked out quietly, you know.
Mhm.
And then the Black Panther movement became more like street gangs
Right.
in the 80s. But black men have no sense of accountability, because I don't know too many stories about, say around the 50s and 60s of men. Now, I take that back. I know one of my elders in my family used to beat a female elder in my family, but they kept it quiet. That's what the problem was. They
Mm-hmm.
wanted us to, this is, I had said this literally today. or yesterday. I said, when the black community says that black women are not accountable and we need to be accountable for failures in relationships for choosing poor men, what
Mhm.
they mean is this: they want us to shut up and take it. That's
Correct.
that's what they want. And they're mad when we talk about what happens to us. I mean, I see it with my friend Rosa over in Black Femicide. She gets so much hate for exposing black men
Oh, yes,
murdering
she
black
does.
women every day.
I follow her page. Yeah.
But they're
She
not
gets
just even
she gets
murdering black women. They're murdering each other too.
they're murdering each other too, but it's like, and yeah, they get mad when you talk about black on black crime, period, because it will expose that black men are not these major victims that um black people try to make it seem to white supremacy. And
Right.
it takes away the narrative that black men are oppressive, because according to black men they never oppress us, even though they unaliven us every 5.5 hours, even though 60% of black women have been molested before the age of 18, even though there's 100,000 missing black women right now. In their mind they don't oppress us in no way, and they're trying to make it seem like the color purple was a lie, and that there haven't been fathers that had fathered children's with their daughters, or they weren't beating us back in the day. But that's why I said, like, the black community does everything to protect the black male image, even when they identify with the negative portrayals that's put out there about them. The black man is a protected class, more protected than the black woman, because they sure enough will bring up Claudine every 5 minutes when you talk about, oh, well, black women kick black men out the house. They sure enough bring up
Jesus.
Claudine,
Who
but
is Claudine?
y'all don't want to own up to the color purple and how that was y'all too.
Who is Claudine? I'm sorry.
Oh, Claudine is a movie about a woman who Diane Carroll and
Oh, I
James
remember
Earl
that.
Jones.
I remember
Yeah,
that movie. It was
yeah,
like her like breakout roles or something.
yeah, she was on welfare and she had a bunch of kids. I can't remember if they had their multiple fathers, but James Earl Jones is pretty much courting her, trying to get in a relationship with her. And there's a scene where the social worker comes and she's hiding James Earl Jones so she don't lose her benefits. So black men use that movie as to kind of verify that black women were kicking black men out the home to keep welfare.
But James Earl Jones' character was not the father of the children, correct?
No,
Exactly.
he wasn't.
So that still debunks everything they say.
It's right. It's
Like it's just
you
like
can't make it make sense. He wasn't even the children's fathers. He was someone who wanted to be in relationship with her.
correct.
So where was the fathers?
They were already gone. They did a poor man's divorce, like the research paper says. The men that they were kicking out of these homes were not the fathers of the children and were able-bodied men who were refusing to work. So again, by the time that law ended within what 5 years, and it was not across all 50 states, why didn't our men come back to get us?
Hmm.
That's
And
because they
nobody
were
ever has an answer.
That's because they were getting locked up. That's why. They were either getting locked up or they were dating other races of women. I mean, think about it. There were a lot of black men who were in the military. Oh, I can talk all day about military men. Um, there were men in the military who were choosing to stay overseas because they were fathering children over there. And it's
Yeah.
so funny because right when I saw that y'all were online, I was on a clubhouse room, and they were talking about how black men are not marriage material. And there was a black man who was in the continent of Africa, and he was saying, well, black men over here are pretty good. And she had to remind him, like, everywhere black men are at, there are poor, impoverished communities and high rates of violence. Like, I think the femicide rate in South Africa is like every three
Out of
hours.
control. Hmm.
Like, everywhere y'all at, there's crime and poverty.
What gets me is when they're like, y'all want protection, but protection from whom, sugar? Who
From
who do
you.
we who do we need protection from? And they never answer that either. They never answer who we need protection from, because the lions and tigers and bears, we ain't going into the wilderness messing with them. That's not our trait. So who do we need protection from? And they won't answer that question either. When we ask, why didn't the men 4 decades ago, 4 generations ago, go back and get grandma and them? Because them being free alleviated them from any responsibility and accountability
Yeah.
for going to get the milk and never coming back. Y'all don't want to face the truth, and that's the reason why they won't go to the therapy. That's the reason why they attacked Bree the way that they did. How dare this educated black woman tell me? And then when that other pick me wrote the article, look, see, here's another article. Her article was full of tweets.
And and they ain't go over there to defend her yet.
No,
They
she
ain't
went
saying back
underground.
off of this lady who wrote the article. It was us who did it. It's not her fault. Leave this woman alone. They let her go burn in the fire alone.
Well, they gonna let her burn because they're gonna utilize her article to be like, see, another black woman said this black woman was wrong. That's what they're gonna use the talking points for. But then when it comes out that people are gonna find out where this woman is, and somebody, because people get kind of weird on the TikTok app, on the clock app, somebody's gonna end up putting her information out there, and then she's gonna be like, well, why didn't nobody defend me, honey? Because your need to be validated by men who are not even taking care of their own community was so strong that you thought it'd be a good idea to tear down another black woman, another professional black woman, at the expense of validation from men who still haven't picked you, sugar.
Let me tell
Make
you
it
what
make sense.
let me tell you what pisses me off about the black community. It didn't take them but so long for them to find this black woman.
Mm-mm.
But where were y'all at with y'all research skills to find George Zimmerman?
Oh no, they ain't found
Yeah.
him.
Right.
The same way they let Christian Abumaseli's person who unalived him, his preference, his Snow Bunny OnlyFans girlfriend model, when all of that stuff happened down in Miami County, and they were like, black women need to protest. We was like, he ain't even like us, so sorry for the mother's loss. But the black men and the Karens of the palm colored community can get their crickets together and get some t-shirts together and go play in a protest. They never did it. She was getting ready to flee again. They found her in Hawaii. I was like, so why didn't y'all go fight for y'all brethren? y'all,
Right. And
y'all couldn't organize that.
no, they expected the Mamies to do it. But you know what? The preferences are coming out more and more talking about y'all, black women were right, even though they should have listened to us to begin with.
That
These
part.
men are trash.
Hmm.
Like they're coming out and they're doing videos all on TikTok. I just shared a video. I just shared a video on my page where this white woman is like, "Oh, I fell in love with this man, and guess what he gave me?
A baby.
HIV and
Oh shoot.
emotional
Oh,
damage."
oh wow. Oh, I didn't expect that.
I wouldn't either.
And
Oh,
then she posted a video where she's in it's playing a song, a love song in the background. And then she says, "Yeah, you know what I got rewarded with? HIV and emotional damage." And she's in the car with him, and this love song is playing, and he's in and showing a video of him and everything. And I'm like,
God.
y'all can keep that. Yeah. Go to your preferences and take that bullshit over there.
But what kills me though is the ones who get with certain palm colored or other races of women, and they are 100% okay with the other races of women disrespecting black women as if their mothers, sisters, aunties, and grandmas are not black. And then when those other women, specifically the palm colored women, get angry, the first thing they'll do is be like, I can destroy your life. And then they turn around and look at black women like, hey, why don't you have my back? Because we told you not to go over there to begin with.
You know what that remind me of? This is so unrelated, but we kind of off topic anyways, right? So I don't know, this was like some years ago, and I don't really be on Twitter, but you know how black Twitter is. It went viral.
Right.
This guy, he was dating a palm colored girl, whatever. And so it was like Christmas or Thanksgiving, and they went over to to her parents' house. They did not want him to come in.
Yep.
So he waited outside while she went in, and she didn't even do like, listen, if y'all can't accept it. No, she went in, had dinner with her family while he waited outside, and he was asking for our help. And
For what? He took his butt over there.
they dragged him from here to Kingdom Come over on that TikTok. Oh my God, that was such a hilarious story.
But why though? That's what I'm saying. Like the logic doesn't even make sense to them. Why would you be okay with not only bashing the women in your community, but allowing women from other communities to not only feel like they're better than us, but they bash us too? And then when you get treated like property, like they did for that boyfriend haul on TikTok, when you get treated like you nothing but a piece of meat, then you want to feel some type of way. You want somebody to come hug you and pop a titty in your mouth. That's not how that works.
I wish I
That's
had
not realistic.
that Kevin Hart meme right now with him, hopped up on the black woman and pointing his finger like, get her over there.
Oh, when he jumped on Tammy, house
Yeah,
husbands of
that was
Hollywood.
hilarious.
I'm sorry, they are hilarious over there. But yeah, I don't. There's a video on my page that got reported for harassment and bullying, and there was a palm colored woman who was on there that was like, "When will you men understand that being with white women like me is not in your best interest, especially if you allow that woman to disrespect the women within your own community?" They flagged my video for hate speech.
Of
I said,
course.
how is it hate speech? Number one, I ain't say a word. And number two, this is coming from a palm colored woman talking about palm colored women who end up with black men because it gives them some sense of power. And them nuts run. They be running,
I feel
running.
like, they've been coddled. That's the issue. They've been coddled so much that they don't know how to take accountability. They don't want to hold any real responsibility. And when you try to hold them to task or tell them things, it's just like a child that gets angry and you've hurt their feelings. So now they run to their room and cry. And that's all I see. Any little thing. Like they said she called them Dusty in that video. We just watched the
We
video.
just watched it. She did not say Dusty at
When
all.
did she call you Dusty? And then I seen people saying she was bashing us. Like
She
where
wasn't.
where did she bash you at all in this video? But anytime we try to tell you anything, your feelings are hurt.
But we're the overly emotional ones.
Hurt feelings all over the place. Y'all bashing us. Y'all can't stand us. Y'all hate us. No, I just want you to do better. I just want you to get your mind right because something up there ain't ticking right. Um, yeah, I just want you to get some help.
They're not gonna do it, y'all.
Right.
They it's just like like I said, back in 2016, 17, black women were like, come on, y'all. It's time for us to connect with our ancestors and heal our bloodline and break generational curses and heal and transform into better versions of ourselves. They did not take that opportunity when a majority of black women were still willing to work with the black men. I mean, even years before then, when I was in several groups on Facebook where they were talking about black male and female relationships, there were so many black love groups. There were so many uh, groups about Afrocentric psychology. There was a group called Afrocentric psychology I was a part of, but I had to leave because the black men were pretty much saying black women weren't shit and they weren't going to do a damn thing for us. So I was like, what's the point of me being in this group trying to be my pro-black self when these men are anti-black? And I
Right.
said, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna leave that group. Then it was another group called Relationship Talk 2.0 and 3.0 and all that, where black incels and manosphere men were in there talking about black women ruined the black community by kicking the black man out the house. And I was like, wow, like how long ago was that? What happened back in the 70s and the 80s? What they got to do with now?
Yeah,
This
I
is a
was
whole, it's a whole new. What? Why are the men who are my age mad about what happened back in the 70s and 80s? You wasn't even alive, nigga.
Right.
You, and it's like that's why I said like they want. It's two things. One, like I said last week, they don't want to admit that they failed their race by not protecting us from colonizers, and even selling us into slavery. And two, they don't want to admit that they have a psychological problem and that they're not these super masculine men that white supremacy has made them out to be. That really, like Meg Thee Stallion said, you a bitch.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Like they don't want to admit that they're basically struggling, and that boy trying to be a part of this patriarchal system is gonna kill y'all down bad. That's all I got. So like from what I see, y'all are trying so hard to live up to a version of manhood and masculinity that you think you have to aspire to or live up to, and it is killing y'all. Like
they want to dominate the way that palm colored men have,
right, and it's
and they
killing.
do not have the financial resources and do not have the power to run the infrastructure that will require any of that. I still think it's very weird how they band together to get this woman fired. That's not very masculine, is it?
Yeah, you used all your powers. Imagine what y'all could have did with y'all time other than going after this woman.
Imagine if they would have went to Miami County and protested for Christian. It wouldn't have took them 3 months to get the snow bunny palm colored girl arrested for unaliving Christian. That's what I kept saying that on TikTok. I was like, nobody is telling y'all can't plan and organize. Make sure you get your permits, plan and organize, and y'all can get y'all's Karens to make y'all t-shirts on their cricket and go down there and protest for your boy. Like, go do it. Go. Y'all want to lead and protect so bad. Go pick up Karen and go fight for your homie. Black women are not stopping you. We said sorry to this man, sorry to the family, and we moving on about our day. And y'all got mad because we didn't break our backs to try to get the person who was his preference caught up. We knew she did it. We knew, but that was your preference. That was your choice. You bashed black women for 10 years on Twitter to have your family ask for help of the black community. Make it make sense.
That's because just like they have their head up their own ass, they got their tail between their legs too. They want black women to be the new Jesus Christ, where we're out here fighting and putting ourselves in between, like we're their shield between the bullets of white supremacy and the black community. You know how you seen those figures of black women standing in front of like police forces, and she's like
Mm-hmm.
saying things. That's they want us to be their freaking shields. They want us to be their bulletproof vests. And it's like,
Want us to die for them when they won't even stop unaliving us.
it's not they exactly they don't want to stop unaliving us, and they don't want to live for us either. Let me tell you how I know. Because who do you think is pushing the narrative that black men should adopt a more um vulnerable side of themselves and a more softer side of themselves, and separate themselves from patriarchal definitions of masculinity? It's mostly feminists, but that's who the black men hate the most.
Mm-hmm.
It's Feminism is the movement that said, you know what, patriarchy has some toxic views of femininity and masculinity. Let's try to change the definition for a minute. And it's like we're trying to give them a soft spot to land on, but they're not thinking that. They're thinking war. They're thinking war against the black woman because
Mm-hmm.
they've been chasing the pink toe since the Moors in the 15 and 1600s. And they're thinking, oh, we want to fight the white man, but we're going to make black women do it for us. And then
Correct.
when the white man's not even killing us, guess what the white man's doing when we come up to them? They're trying to marry us. That's what they're doing. When black women come up to them, come climb up those corporate ladders and get into those investment investment organizations and um try to pretty much taking government positions around the world. When black women get into position, these white men are not trying to fight us. They're trying to marry us.
And
And
that's
that's
why they be mad. That's why the black men in our community are mad. Especially the prime example I can use celebrity wise. When Serena, oh Jesus,
Oh yeah, they was in an uproar.
when Venus Serena, Jesus
Mhm.
Williams, girl, why was I trying to call her Lopez in my head? That is not her name.
Selena.
when So I was Selena was what was popping in my head, but her last name ain't Lopez either. But anywho, when Serena had dated with Drake, she had dated like a few black
She
men.
dated Common for a while, for some
Common,
years.
Drake allegedly. Like I don't know much about that. When she dated black men, it was always she's shaped too masculine. It was all these attacks, and then when she ended up being with her now husband, having her biracial child, and her husband sitting there in the stands with their baby, supporting her, getting back on that court and whooping ass on the tennis court. She just gonna go back to the white man, the oppressor. Pick a struggle. Is your issue because she ended up with a white man and now at a certain level you can't bring her back down because y'all are aspiring to be that white man? Because even if her husband was broke, he still has proximity because of patriarchy and white supremacy. There's still rooms he can walk in that black men can't. They always get angry.
And it triggers them. You know why? Because every time they see a black woman, not with a Hispanic man or Asian man or
Mm-mm.
an Arab man, but when they see black women with a white man specifically, what they think of is how they failed to protect us during slavery when white men were raping us.
Oh, you know
So
what? You got a point.
it triggers them. It triggers
Yeah.
them like, damn, she's making us look like a bitch because we're
Not
trying to
hard.
build, some of the ones they claim to want to build up the black community, what they really want is, and this is what the Hebrew Israelites be exposing, because if you want to know the mind of a black man, go to the extremists and listen to what they say. But the Hebrew Israelites say that it's in the Bible that black men are supposed to have 7 wives or being rewarded with 7 wives for, I guess, good behavior or something, or because they're the chosen ones or something like that. So
Mhm.
a lot of black men, they'll sleep black and produce black, but they'll marry white because they're still trying to get to white supremacy. And I think a lot of black men think that they're not disloyal if they have both a whole rainbow tribe full of children. Look at Nick Cannon.
I was getting ready to say that.
Oh Lord Jesus. He just had another, well, he about to have another baby.
Yeah, another one. Now I because he's trying to see whether or not he can create dark skinned black children with other races of women.
Yeah, but he thinks he calls them women black, and I just be laughing. I was like, he colorblind too.
Delusions.
He call
Delusions.
he calls those girls black. Like even
Are
Mariah's
they?
not full
They're
black.
mixed. They're mixed, right? Or are they
I
another
Most of
race?
them
believe
are
they are.
mixed.
They
To my
racially ambiguous.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
one that's pregnant now, she look like she got a speckle or two of black bud in her, but she ain't. She's more other on her Scantron sheet. I laughed when I sent it to Aya earlier. I said that boy will show up for a photo shoot now, won't he?
What did he
He
showed
will
up?
be there
Okay,
for a
that is the
maternity
second
shoot.
baby mama, so maybe she got more baby mama rights.
Well, yeah, she got the second set of twins that was born after Mariah's twins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's not no Mariah Carey, but she number two, which is still higher than nine. So
Is she black?
No,
she look like she got a few speckles of
yeah, I
black
mean,
blood
maybe
in her.
she could be. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, one thing I've heard in every community I've been in with black men is they definitely hang on to Dr. Francis Cress Wiseland's Wilson theory that the black man carries the seed, and um, he is the genetic code to producing black children. So a lot of black men take it in their mind that if they produce with other black children, those children are black, not mixed, because he's the seed. And if I'm sorry, and if black women produce with other races of men, those children are the race of the man she procreated
They
with.
are
You
absolutely
understand?
retarded. That absolutely makes no logical sense at
But
all.
but like I said, it was a black woman who came up with that theory because she called it genetic annihilation, and she was like, the black man is the primary target of white supremacy because he carries the black seed.
Really, as if
Shut up,
black
fast.
women wasn't
You
there
do it.
neither. I'm sorry. I go left
Well,
every
we can
time.
produce and we can recreate this entire world, but it comes from a black man.
I go left every time. I am sick of the oppression Olympics. That it's the black man that's gonna win white supremacy, as if black women were not there. As if your grandmas and great grandmas and they mamas and them didn't go through all of this to be able to get us to this point. I
We went
said
through
most
all
of
of
these
it, but
women
it
are turning in their
affected their
graves.
brains differently. It
Right.
clearly caused severe mental illness. It affected their brains differently than it affected ours, and so
Because black women had to
didn't go
adapt.
through it with them.
Black
I
women
think
had to adapt.
I think
Yeah,
it's
we adapted
because
and adjusted.
it's in the it's in the man's
It's in there.
nature
Yeah.
to want to hunt. You know what I'm saying? So with that, a lot of men want to dominate over anybody who is not him. You know what I'm saying? So of course slavery affected black men a little bit differently than black women because we're not looking to lead nations. We're not looking to build infrastructures and systems and everything. We're just
We
looking to raise our
should.
children and be happy, you know? But black men, they have a public shame because they are such a defeated and conquered group of men. You know what I'm saying? Like when you think of Hispanic men or especially Mexican men, they don't act conquered. When you think of Asian men, they're not a conquered group of men. When you think Arab men, even though we just came out of the Iraq and Afghanistan war, they're not really conquered. Even though they killed their leaders, those men, like, go to Dubai, see if they're conquered. Go to Qatar, see if they're conquered. Go to Kuwait, see if they're conquered. Arab men still have a sense of power, but and even though there's a lot of African men leading nations over there, I mean, what's the reputation of African countries? It's believed that they're very poor. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So there's a public shame that's attached to black men because other races of men is looking at him like, what is going on with your nations? And then
Right.
and it's like, why aren't you fighting back? Every other nation done, like when white men went over to Japan, you know what I'm saying? Those men fought back. And then if they and because they fought back, one thing about white supremacy is they don't completely annihilate races. I mean, they're oppressive, but they're not going to completely annihilate a race. I don't think they have done that in any history, not even with the Indians, even though they had dwindled that population very low, they didn't completely annihilate the Indians. Um, and white supremacy is really a thing of doing like business deals and peace treaties and stuff like that. If you really look at the history, so when it comes to African countries, it's like they pulled out of African countries over the last few decades of the 1900s. And it's like, what have Black men done to rebuild those nations? Now, I don't want to put on a blanket statement about African countries because I know that there are some that have different social classes, like there's rich and poor, wealth in some of those nations and such. But when it comes to America, these white men are like, you know what? We we didn't completely annihilate y'all,
Mm.
even during slavery. So what are you going to do?
And that is where they need to pick up from. What are y'all gonna do? Have you ever read the Moynihan report? Because reading that explained. I mean, and
The breakdown.
I feel for y'all. After reading that report, I understood. I understood what it is that they did. I understood the ramifications and the effects of chattel slavery and how America is the only country in the world who operated with that slavery based system. And it
Correct.
was atrocious. It was an atrocity. Even in Africa, yes, they had slaves. They had slaves in other areas, other countries. But here specifically was the most savage style of captivity. I get it why there's this struggle, But yeah, I just want them. I mean, yeah, like y'all said, they're not gonna go to therapy, but I strongly think that they need to heal that ancestral trauma that they have, and that what Tanisha was talking about with they are a group of men who was essentially never made whole. Y'all have no identity. It was taken from you. And it's like a stain. You walk around with this shame, this stain on you, and it is just acting out in all type of wild ways. And we aren't the enemy. You know, it's not our fault. It's not our fault. It's not a Black woman's fault that you're feeling this way or this happened to you or y'all kicked this out. Y'all, you can name all the excuses in the world. It still dwindles down to you.
I mean, even when you look at the history of the colonization of Africa, when Black kings were selling slaves, and even the ones that did fight back were losing, it was the Black woman who started to create armies in the Dahun, I can't pronounce it, but I think they're in Congo. Um, they the ones that created armies to say, okay, the Black man's down, so the Black woman step up. Like at every turn of events, when it comes to Black people, we stood behind Black men, and when they were attacked, we stepped up
Mm-hmm.
every turn. So it's like they see that we're loyal. I mean, there's a video where that Cynthia G plays all the time in the beginning of her videos, where this Black man is saying, "We know Black women ain't going nowhere. That's why we ain't changing.
Right.
We know that 90% of Black women only date Black men, and they're not going anywhere. They're going to be loyal. So what's the point of changing? You're going to accept me in my defeat." I put in a chat box to look up Pearl Jr. versus Tariq Nasheed. It was a debate that they had back in like 2015, 14. And Tariq Nasheed, if you don't remember, he produced a documentary called Hidden Colors.
Yeah.
But before then, his platform was about the art of macking.
Yeah, I was about to say,
And
wasn't he a pimp? Or he
he
wasn't?
he I don't think he was in the streets like sex trafficking, but he's more like I'm a Mac daddy. I get plenty of women, but pretty much pimping, big pimping. Without the big pimping without the sex trafficking, if that's even possible. But yeah, he has a book called The Art of Macking, and he still has a show where he tries to teach game to men on how to get access to women easily and to get
Jesus.
women to pretty much submit to him. And he did a debate with a woman named Pearl Jr. She pretty much wrote a book telling Black women that we have to be a little bit more ladylike and submissive when dealing with Black men. So pretty much Tariq Nasheed was in the face of a woman who was really on his side and
Mm-hmm.
really trying to say, you know what, I can get the woman in line with my ideologies, and we can come together and make a promise to work with Black men, but Black men have to do X, Y, Z. That's
Mm.
pretty much what the whole gist of it is. But Tariq Nasheed, instead of admitting that Black men were just bad off, he was getting so defensive. And he was like, he just did not want to admit to their failures. And
It's
that's what's kind of holding back the Black race altogether. Like I said, Black women have shame, just like Black men have shame. Black men have shame of defeat, and Black women have shame of being a woman because this world is woman hating. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, they're not going to do the transformation work. They don't want to hold on those feelings of sadness and depression. They don't want to hold. They don't want to hold. They want to hold on to their anger, but they're directing their anger at the wrong person because they're dealing with feelings of fear of challenging the white supremacist system. So it's like it's up to them to really change the predicament of the race.
Yeah, but they'll plan to tear down a Black woman. They'll rally together to be a part
they
of
got
the
energy for
satellite
that
community. They got
because
tons of
we're the
energy for
enemy.
that.
We're the enemy.
Yeah,
It's
we're
all
the
because
reason
of
why
us,
they don't have power. How dare
right?
we adapt to surroundings and have to survive because, you know, the women in our community was abandoned, and then compare us to a demographic of women who have always had some type of
Protection.
protection within their own communities, and compare us to that. I think it was Tanisha, was it last week when you were, was it you or was it TikTok? I can't remember. I want to say it was you, had mentioned where black women have always worked. So the
Yeah.
whole stay at home situation, 100% most of the time don't apply, because black women, even after slavery, have always had to work. So it's just like y'all are talking about traditional woman. Black women were never traditional to certain contexts. Just because Big Mama stayed with Paw Paw don't mean she was happy. Like, did it's like oblivious to have the mindset that they have, and then look at us and it's like, well, why won't you be a traditional woman? Well, why aren't you paying all the bills like a traditional man? And
That.
while you there, why don't you go to therapy and get some emotional help so you can learn how to communicate adequately? But you
Right.
don't even want to do that. You want to yell, stomp, and scream like the Tasmanian devil, and then want to hold your hands out like a baby with a pouty face, because now that you didn't destroy everything, you want somebody to coddle you. It
Okay.
doesn't make sense.
With that, let me play what Professor Odie had to say addressing the men.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me share my screen here. I pulled up that Pearl versus Tariq too, but it's like an hour and a half. But I'm gonna watch it after
Yeah,
this.
like just you have to sit and listen to it, but it's going to keep you. It's going to really expose the issues within black male and female. It was like all in that debate. So maybe you probably listen to it and talk about it another day.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it after we get off of here.
Arguing this idea of professionalism, and we're wielding this idea of professionalism in a weaponized format. Why? Because we as black people, we as black men, and we as black women have been fighting this fight of professionalism for eons. We have been fighting for the ability to be black in all spaces for eons. We have been telling people for the longest period of time that professionalism, that respectability politics, that all of these things are at the core evangelical Americanized implementations that have been put forth into political process, but y'all ain't hearing me. We have been arguing this, and then you gonna turn around and you gonna snake your sister like that? So once again, this whole idea of professionalism, we're arguing this idea of professionalism, and we're wielding this idea of professionalism in a weaponized format. Why? Because we as black people,
There's another video that he did where he spoke up and was talking about
Yeah, that I thought
how
that was the one I had, but it wasn't. Gotta find it.
how even as black professionals in this field, who are in the field of helping humans, helping people, being empathetic, how he lost his job for taking a mental health day after his relationship ended and his car got repoed, and it was like a bunch of things happened, and his job was just like, as I think he was a therapist at this point, his job terminated him for taking a mental health day.
Mhm.
Is hard. We don't have a lot of black therapists because a lot of them don't even have the heart to help people that are not black, let alone deal with being black in an industry that is mostly Caucasian.
Mhm.
So even when he brought up, when he was like, I did a video very similar to what Bree said, and nobody had any stitches, duets, nothing. Nobody had no smoke for me. But y'all go and y'all attack this black woman and mess with her money. He was mad. He
Mhm.
was very mad. He was like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, y'all
I,
not even listening. Y'all don't want the help. So it'd be just easier if y'all would just say that.
I know that y'all supposed to talk about emotional intelligence, so I want to make a few notes here. That whole tearing down that therapist platform, I I would not be surprised if what's underlining that is jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be a therapist, one, you should have to be of sound mind and have kind of like a healthy way of living in order to help other people. So one thing about Black men, because even though they're in a perpetual state of denial, that's another emotion, or at least how can I want to say, yeah, like an emotion, denial. Um, they're in a perpetual state of denial. They know deep down inside they have some core issues. I mean, let's think about it. Probably about 70% of Black men did not have a healthy father in the household growing up, especially if he came from like the mid to late 80s to the early 90s. So it's like they see a professional woman, and how they're always talking about, oh, look at y'all with y'all degrees, and look at y'all with these professional jobs. So
Right.
I kind of feel like some of it is a little bit of jealousy because we came from the same hood as them, and we are making a name for ourselves in certain industries, and we're coming up. Not only do we come up with the white supremacist idea of psychology, but Black people have created their own niche of different types of psychology, especially if you graduated from an HBCU. A lot of HBCUs in their programs talk about Afrocentric psychology, or Afrocentrism. So it's like we're professionals and we are embarking on we're on a transformative process of integrating race, sex, and class into our therapy practices. So it's like that's something to be jealous of because that's sort of an achievement. And these underperforming males are seeing this woman saying, get therapy, get like me, I want to help you. They're like, who this bitch thinks she is? You know what I'm saying? She thinks she's better than us. I'll show her. Like, that's what it comes off as.
Yeah,
I
that
mean, that's because it's like, because one thing I'll say about that therapist, she was a little passionate. And I think one thing that Black men really, because they lack emotional intelligence, one thing that they do is mistake our passion for rage or anger, which it could be interchangeable. But I think with that woman specifically, she was more passionate than angry, and I think that passion comes from a certain disappointment. So I think a lot of Black men can sense that, oh, she's a little disappointed in us, and instead of internalizing this and accepting the fact that maybe she has a reason to be disappointed in us, I don't want to deal with those feelings and those emotions, so I'm just going to project onto her and attack her. You know, that's something that goes on heavily within the Black community.
That's
Every
very
time
true.
every time we express, like they don't, that's why that comes with that shame. Oh, so many emotions. It comes with that shame that's attached with being defeated. It's like they don't want to know that we're disappointed in them. And that is that when we talk to them with such passion and even rage, it comes from a center of love that we want more and better for you, but you're falling
Mhm.
short.
Yeah.
We want, like, I don't know no Black woman unless I don't know too many self-hating Black women. I don't know them. I probably met one or two in my life of Black women who just completely hates Black people. Um, but most Black women want to have desirable partners, want to have successful male partners, want to have loving and caring and supportive male partners. Most Black women want Black men. So when we express that we're disappointed in them, it's coming from love. It's to say we're disappointed in you, but guess what? Like that therapist was saying, I'm here. Most of my clients are Black men. I'm helping Black men. I want you to know that I'm disappointed in your behavior, but come to me and I will help you. But if they were to do that, then they'll have to look at, then, they know the white man's watching everything. They're like, but that means I have to accept defeat. That means that I have to accept the shame that comes with being a conquered race of men. That means I have to you know, confront my fears of being powerful and being a man. You know what I'm saying? Like it comes with an array of emotions that they are just not willing to. I don't know if they're equipped or not, but at least not willing to accept. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Yeah, they're not willing to acknowledge that they need help. That's all I see. And it's like so plain to see. Everyone sees it. So it's not a secret. We all see it. White men see it. White women see everyone sees it. You know it. You don't want to see it, but you know it. We know that you're struggling and you just won't help yourself. And then if we dare address the elephant in the room, we're the problem.
But it's just like the one thing that we do know they know is that having a false sense of power, having the idea that you can be somewhat in close proximity to whiteness is, or or being anti-black is not deal breakers for our men. That's why other men of other races will sit there and be like, how are you downgrading your own woman? And most of them don't have an answer. It's like, oh, as long as I get close to the proximity, I'm okay. But then you're still not addressing the fact that even if you marry a Karen, your likelihood of Karen's granddaddy being a part of an organization that don't like your skin color is a high probability. But then you're gonna run and want a black woman from your community, a black woman that you've disrespected, a black woman that you've disregarded, to have your back and to hold your hand and to rub your back and tell you that it's okay. At what expense? At the expense of her own mental health? Like, our mental health don't matter. That's why some of the arguments are, y'all don't know what we've been through. How
How
can we not?
right? How we're right here, present. We are seeing it in real time. We were right there, like you always say. We were there too.
Yeah, but for some reason they feel like their oppression is a different oppression than any oppression that black women went through. And I was like, essentially, if you don't understand that even though what you're feeling is different than what my experiences is, it's still all under oppression and the white supremacy and the patriarchy that's affecting all of us. We're all affected, and I'm not gonna be in an oppression Olympics with a man who was birthed by a black woman. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why that part is like they refuse to believe that black women went through anything.
They don't
The,
understand intersectionality, and it would help them a lot if they understood it.
well,
Because, like Voodoo Bay always say, like y'all understand oppression very well when it comes to race, but y'all just lack comprehension skills, and y'all don't understand oppression as it relates to sex. And
well,
you
that's
don't
what
understand.
Tanisha was saying.
Y'all
They're
think
not
that we
doing
don't.
anti-sexism work neither.
Yeah, y'all think that we don't understand your oppression, but we're there too because we're literally the same race as you. We've been through the same things. We have the same shared history as it
Right.
relates to white supremacy. But y'all can't see how y'all are being just as oppressive as men.
No, because they're black men and they've gone through so much. They can't be oppressors. At least that's their mindset. There's no way they can be an oppressor. Y'all are just being mean.
I
Black
think
men need
about
discipline.
the video.
And you know why I say that? Just looking at it from a objective stance, because I have addressed my mental slavery
Mm-hmm.
and my post-traumatic slave syndrome. I can say that black men were at their best right after slavery. Like, after going through those 400 years of constant beatings and constant slavery, um coming soon out of it, that's when we saw their excellence on display. And then at some point they just stopped being disciplined. At some point we started to cuddle them and mammy them
Mm.
versus actually discipline them. Like, for real, I'm gonna say it straight up. I was just telling somebody like a month ago, I said these men are acting like they want you to bend them over and up the poop shooter. That's how they act. And then, like, even on and it's all coming to me, like, even on my post that went viral about they don't want coochie no more, they want Boosie or Bus.
Mm-hmm.
How, like, they're coming in there talk trash in the coochie. And I'm like, these dudes want to be bent the fuck over.
But it's just like Ace Metaphor had said on one of his podcasts. He was like, y'all need to be careful of men who are not emotionally available, men who are only around because they are not sexually attracted to men, but
Right.
how they can form full meaningful relationships. I think I even mentioned how they'll have the same barber for 20 years, be loyal to a barber, loyal to an NFL, loyal to an NBA team, but can't be loyal to the person that you sleeping with because your dislike and disdain for women is real.
Yeah.
And not saying, oh, you're not heterosexual. I'm saying you don't even look at women as people
Yeah. Well,
that have feelings because your feelings matter more, allegedly.
I want y'all to keep in mind, I hear everything that you're saying, Anlin. Um, look look at Janet Jackson has an album called Discipline.
Hmm.
It's like one thing I would say about the music industry is that they put messages out there about what they feel like the state of the world. And it's so funny because Janet Jackson also had a tour called The State of the World. And I'm a huge Janet Jackson fan. But she has an album called Discipline about what these men. One thing you have to know about men is that testosterone level has them in that playful mood, that hunting mood, that fucking mood. And that's their language. They don't understand that, oh, poor baby, come and rest on my titty. Some do, but that's not what they really want. They want to be trained, they want to be coached, they want to be mentored. That's why a lot of that's why they take to the sports because that's exactly what sports offers to them. That's why a lot of mothers put their sons in sports, not just because they want him to, possibly get into the NBA and such and get money, but because most of them did not have a father, so they said, you know what, I have to put him in sports so he can get that discipline.
yeah, it teaches them this.
Right.
I do agree with that. Sports or karate or something that they have to be like, listen, you're going to have an instructor. That instructor is going to train you up, teach you some discipline. And those are tools that they may tend to carry on.
Right.
Right. And now let's talk about how that ties into emotional intelligence. If they were to have a woman, even though a lot of women, I'm really against the whole build demand thing, but if they were to have a woman who was both a nurturer and a disciplinarian, you probably would get a different result from that man. And I think that goes for any man, not just black men.
Child, I can't do all that.
I know it's a lot of work, but if you choose to that's why I haven't dated men because I saw that I'm like these men been trying me. Like I don't have it in me to whoop their ass. But I tried the nurturing and you want something to eat, baby? You want me to make you a drink? Oh, I'll be quiet. I'll just sit here and let you lead. I tried that shit. They walked all over me. They walked all over me
Every time.
every time.
Mhm.
Every time. I want to read something, but I can't. I want to read something that I said on my Instagram, but I can't do it on my phone. But anyway, but I tried that submissive type way. I tried to be the submissive, supportive, caring, nurturing, loving, tender woman. But these men are demons. And what would you do with a demon if you can't kill them? Well, you could, but if you don't want to, you train them, you discipline them. You I don't even want to say rehabilitate, but you train them and you discipline them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of people say don't whoop your kids, but I kind of feel like black men ain't get their ass whooped enough. I have a god brother. My godmother used to tear his ass up, and I would say in the first part of his adulthood, he really struggled with um adjusting to adulthood. You know what I'm saying? But eventually he found something that kind of quenched his bloodthirst and kind of quenched his of feelings of being weak because he couldn't fight back against his mama. You know what I'm saying? And he picked up bodybuilding, and now he not only adopted a healthier way of living and got off crack, but now he's more emotionally available for his woman because he had to go through that transformation process because his mother tore his ass up. She would not let off him. Every time he did something fucked up, she got on his ass. You know what I'm saying? And she took him through the ringer. So on the other side of it, he could transform into a more disciplined and a more humane kind of man. And I'm proud of my god brother. And his mom was coaching him throughout the whole way. She did not let him up on him. Like training men and raising men comes with, like they say, it's easier to raise boys, but it's hard work. It's hard work to get them to touch into their humane side because a lot of men identify with beasts. That's why you think black men are so goddamn obsessed with lions and wolves.
Hugely obsessed.
I mean, most of their profile pictures is gonna be a lion. It's gonna be a gorilla. I see them a lot with lions.
And I was just saying, that's why I said I'm about to pull up my post and read it to y'all because I mean, that's why I said I had read Bell Hooks Be Real Cool a few years ago. Now she talked about how, you know, black men specifically want to identify the cool factor, but she was too kind to talk about their bloodthirst because she really didn't address like where does the violent behavior come from, and it comes from their admiring um the predatory type beasts. You know what I'm saying? But even the lion is scared of the hyena. Even the wolf is scared of the bear. Come on now, where is? But I'm trying to pull this up. But
And
yeah,
pull
you
that
have
up.
to
Play
you have
this
to you
video.
have to train them and discipline them because they mamas failed them, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying this to shame her. I'm saying this to say, like, black mothers were too busy trying to keep the family together and make
Right.
sure the kids can eat and make sure that they were clothed and they had a roof over their head. You know, the discipline and the training that he normally would get from his father, the mother couldn't do both at the same time as much as it would help if she had a healthy man in the picture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like I said earlier, that's why a lot of mothers put their sons into sports so he can have a male authoritative figure that will train and coach him. And a lot of the really bad ones went to military school. Like even y'all remember that movie Gridiron Gang and how they had those juvenile delinquents and they said, you know what, we need to have them transform their anger and their rage into something more productive. So
Right.
he had them do football. You know, like you have to take seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to take seriously like these men, they want to be a beast. They want to be superheroes and they want to be uh um I don't know how you would describe a transformer, but look at the things that they gravitate towards. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is like they have like that because of those high testosterone levels. They have a lot of aggressive behaviors that is exhibited. You know, and they have to put it into something that will translate into something meaningful for them. You know what I'm saying? And then in a sense nurture them and it's like trying to figure out when to nurture and when to uh nature. You know what I'm saying? It's I don't know a perfect formula, but I'm just saying like they lack the emotional intelligence because a lot of black men have been over nurtured and a lot of them I think will even carry a lot of resentment for their mothers because they feel like the mothers didn't give them what they needed.
That's the word I always hear. We were y'all emasculated us.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like essentially telling me I castrated you, I took your balls, and it's a resentment.
Yep. They're angry at the moms as if the moms provoked the dads who abandoned them. It's never the same energy as smoke towards another man, be it be your brother, uncle, or whomever. Is the emasculating conversation is very weird to me, because I would like to know exactly what they feel like we're doing to emasculate them by
I mean, 'cause it's
surviving.
the coddling. It's the I mean, I definitely I will agree to a certain extent about the issue that especially older Black women had, because I see certain examples in my family of older Black women with their sons, um, or even I see it sometimes with a woman who let me put down this tab, with a woman who may have a boyfriend and she's doing it all and he's not doing a lick of anything.
Mm.
She's doing everything. And it's like at a certain point, you're like getting kind of frustrated and tired, and you're at your breaking point. I'm tired of doing everything on my own. I do this, I cook, I clean, I go to work, I come home, you just sitting on my couch, blase, X, Y, and Z. But he's never going to work for you. I said this in a video. He's never going to work for you the way you want him to now because you've emasculated him. You've been doing everything. So why should he go out there and do anything when you took that? Like he don't have to be accountable for shit. He does it all. I mean, you do it all. So now that you're fed up, you expect him to just flip a switch and go out there and want to be motivated and driven. And I'm gonna go out there and get it, and I'm gonna hustle, and I'm gonna provide for my family. And that was never what they were. They're never going to be that way. And you do play a part in that because you've coddled him.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with that. And then it's like they don't know it because some guys, especially, you could always tell when you meet certain men who that has happened to because you're not the effing one. I'm gonna say you're not the effing, like I'm not about to sit here and do that, or I'm not your mama, I'm not your ex. I'm going to hold you to task. I'm gonna hold you accountable. You're going to have a job. You're going to have to do certain things. I'm not going to accept certain treatment. And when they meet somebody like that, that's the opposite of what they just came from, then it's like you get this it's aggression, you get this hostile pushback, and oh, you not like so and so, I need somebody who's submissive, and why you not, you should almost feel insulted that these women thought so less of you that they just let you sit there and do nothing while they did everything. That's how I
Right.
always feel. I would take that as an insult personally.
And I think that those men are the ones that are kind of damaged beyond repair, because if he wants a submissive woman and he doesn't have kind of like a healthy masculine type of identity where he will provide for that woman, that's a DBR man. Because a man who is taking on traditional patriarchal roles, he would want to be more like an alpha male, and alpha males don't sit around doing nothing for themselves. So if he lazy and lack of ambition and he want a submissive woman, he just damaged. You can't do nothing with that, boo.
Yeah. He's
You
just
can't
a
do nothing
man
with
by
that.
nature, by birthright. You were born male, and so that makes you a man. And by birthright, you're gonna have certain traits of a male because you have testosterone. But really, you have a strong feminine energy, and like I wish people understood what energies are, because they always get like you got when I think of what they think energies are, they look at aesthetics, and energy has nothing to do with aesthetics. If you even Google a lack of masculinity, or a lack of masculine energy, laziness is on the list. No drive, no ambition, no will to get up and do something. That's on the list of having a lack of masculinity.
Hmm. I mean, because
I'm so tired.
testosterone should be doing most of the work for you. But if they've been pampered and cuddled and spoiled all their life, it ends up producing a male who lacks drive, lacks motivation, lacks ambition, and ultimately is defeated. Um, even the testosterone is working against him, which is why I think we got so many trans women nowadays, you know.
Mm,
But it's like that man is damaged beyond repair. But and it sucks because when it comes to the Black community, with Black men, they didn't a lot of them did not have fathers. But a lot of them did, like I said, the ones who's been through sports or even military men, even though the military men are highly sexist. I don't know. Let me take that back. Because one thing I would say about military men is different. I met some, I don't know why, I just so happened to meet all the hoes. But there were other military men that I've seen that had wives that pushed them all the way around. You know what I'm saying? Like at work, they were also hyper masculine and tough and all that. But at home, they were straight up like soft, you know? So it's like, I don't know. It just depends because, you know, all men does are not alike. So it's really, you have to, that's why vetting and really trying to get to know a man on a deeper level is very important. So you know what formula you have to use in order to keep that man. And I kind of feel like this. We were just talking about divestment last week. Um, at this point in time, if you're, I don't know how old y'all are, but I'm about to be 35. And if a man is not already potential, I can't do nothing with him. So, because I only date men who are 35 and up. And if they're not already potential, I can't do nothing with him. So that's my biggest suggestion. Like I said, I definitely discourage women from trying to get into the build a man factory. When it comes to building up a man, I think that's something cute for like 18 to 25, but 25 and up, just stop.
Oh,
Because
it's a wrap after that. We grown.
we grown.
We grown.
Let me read you what I said. What is it about men? There is a certain bloodthirst I see from them that never seems to be quenched. It's a game for them to destroy any woman that challenges him, serves him, love him. When will it be over? Usually in their elder years when they face an array of health problems and they are in the face of their own demise. Then they try to desperately cling on to life. Something clicks for them to actually embrace being more humane. This is because all his life he compared himself to beasts. Yet reality sets in when he's older that he is only human. In the meantime, I suggest women try not to tame the beast. Allow men to go on his own journey as a human to get in touch with his humanity. Until then, he is liable to hurt you more than love you. Of course, this is not every man, but too many. What I meant by that is these men compare themselves to beasts and adopt a certain amount of invincibility that kind of borders what I see in bipolar disorder people who think, oh, I can handle anything, and I'm bulletproof and everything. But you know, a lot of men when they get to that age when they're in the face of their own demise, meaning death is around the corner, you know, that's when they want to settle down because they're like, okay, hold up, I've been living in this fantasy world, this la la land, that I'm some tough guy, I'm some beast, I'm like a lion, I'm like a tiger, I'm like a bear, I'm like a wolf. But now I got diabetes, now I got high blood pressure, now I got high cholesterol, and I'm about to die. So now, so now all of a sudden, you know, and then not only that, he might got ED. So now he wants to settle down. Look, it's nothing we can do about that. This is just the fantasy world that men live in. And I don't think that men are willing to accept reality because like you were saying with this broadcast, they lack the emotional intelligence to be able to understand complex emotions. You know what I'm saying? So instead of confronting reality, they live in that fantasy land all their lives until they have a doctor sit in front of them and saying, you need to get yourself together because you're inching closer to death. I hope that makes sense.
No, yeah. Yep. All right. So I'm gonna end with this, you guys, because it is a little bit past midnight. And just going over again these four key skills for having emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive emotion, the ability to reason with emotion, the ability to understand emotions, and the ability to manage emotions. And I feel like that managing emotions is the most important thing that I see that they lack, is the ability to manage, to self-manage, to be logical in their thinking and emotions, to act and not act off of impulse emotions. Because without managing your emotions, you can't self-assess and manage your own emotions and your skill sets and your limitations and what you need to improve on, what you need to work on. And yeah, we just ain't got time for that no more. I don't think no woman wants to be somebody's rehab center or therapist or deal with outbursts of anger and frustration without you using your words and giving me a conversation so that I can clearly understand or share or be vulnerable. Like, we need more than that. We need more than what you're giving us. And that is all I can say about this topic.
I just want to say one thing before you end the broadcast. Oh, this is perfect because this is a takeaway I want to say real quick.
Okay.
A woman simply is, but a man must become. Let me repeat myself because I kind of tripped over my words. A woman simply is, but a man must become. And I'll just say, take that as you will.
I'm on mute. That was a good one. I like that. A woman simply is, and a man must become. That is so. No truer words have been spoken. And with that, you guys, we are going to end tonight, and I will see you guys next week.